Hello, my name is Michael Arden, and I'm the biologist that was hired to investigate what hazardous chemicals that enter the waterways and result in killing fish. So this is the investigation results. So we'll start with a quick overview. So the reasons for the investigations, and then we'll go over the findings. How did it enter the water? The effects on wildlife and people, and then the conclusion of what's going on. So why investigate? So large amounts of fish are turning up dead on the beaches. The beaches are a big tourist attraction and a great revenue for local businesses, and there's a concern for people safety as well and the health of folks. So, we want to figure out why fish are turning up dead, and then are there really any major concerns to the health? That way, that local business will be affected and so forth, like that. So the investigation results that we conducted, so we found a chemical called rhotinin, which was found to be present in the water. And this chemical is actually a known fish killer. So what is rhotinin? So it is an odorless, colorless, crystalline isoflavone made from carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And basically what that means is it comes from plants, so it's naturally occurring in the stems and seeds of several plants. And it was commonly used as insecticides and pesticides, but it was actually being phased out back in the early 2000s from being an insecticide and pesticide, but still today that it is used as a pesticide, which by fisheries and government agencies. And what that is basically a population control. So these agencies and fisheries use this chemical to control fish populations of unwanted fish, or if there's an area that they're trying to completely eradicate fish, they'll use this chemical because it's highly effective in killing fish. So how does it enter the water? So most commonly, rhotinin is sprayed into waterways. This can be done by helicopter sprays, boats, underwater hoses, or backpack sprayers. So my belief is that it is entered the waterway as a result of overspraying. So a lot of times with helicopters, especially if they're using those to apply this chemical, they can actually either miss completely their target that they were supposed to, or a lot of overspray can occur into waterways that could lead into these beaches. So once it's in the water, it could actually leak through some creeks and rivers and actually head out to the beaches and along the way taking effect and killing the fish that's going on. Like I said before, it's a highly toxic chemical to fish, and it sticks to their gills and suffocates them by inhibiting their cellular respiration. So effects on fish, I just touched on a little bit of this. So most of the time what happens is because it's a powder or a crystalline, like we said, once it gets into the water, it sticks to the gills of the fish and basically suffocates them. It does this by interrupting their cellular respiration and blocking electron transport within the mitochondria. So basically what that means is it restricts a particular enzyme called enzyme NADH. And what that is an energy releasing enzyme that goes through those chemical processes. And so what happens is it actually restricts the oxygen getting into these particular molecules and causes tissue anexia, which is basically the oxygen can't get into the tissues properly like it should and causes suffocations in those muscles along with suffocation into the lungs. And the fish will end up inevitably dying because they're not getting the proper oxygen they need and the release of energy. So it's also a hydrophobic substance, so it can actually very easily, once it's absorbed through the skin or through the respiratory tract, quickly find its ways into cell with no regulation of how it's getting in. It crosses through the cell membrane because the hydrophobic substances can actually cross directly through those membranes. So what are the effects on people? Most of the time, because it's already in the water and they're not around it being sprayed, it's going to cause eye irritation, dermal irritation, which is skin, nausea or throat irritation. And in severe cases, an acute exposure to it could lead to other severe symptoms. But most of the time, because it's being downtracked to the beach from an upper area, the only thing we're really going to be worried about is these different irritations, which could affect folks that are swimming in those particular waters that has this chemical in it. So ultimately, the solution would be to either close the beach for 48 hours, which I know is not necessarily a good thing for business, but rhotinin actually will dissipate in its own REI after 48 hours. Or the other, if it's a quick fix, we can add potassium permanganate or chlorine to detoxify the water. and this would be a potential solution, but it's probably better off just waiting the 48 hours. So in conclusions, Rhotinin has entered the waterway through, like we talked about, from either overspray that has trickled in from the rivers or the thing and been exposed to it. It's highly toxic to fish. It will actually kill a bunch of fish and can cause illness in people. And there needs to be a decision on the conclusion. And then if you're interested, here's a list of sources used to put this presentation together. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you hiring me to do this investigation. Hopefully I have helped.